each other through it. Come on and see, good movement draws good movement.
Welcome to Good Movement Draws Good Movement, the podcast where farmers, ranchers, and rural folks can grow relationally through awareness, understanding, and effective communication. Hey, it's T. I'm your host, and I, along with my guests, will be covering topics related to drawing good movement. Things like self and social awareness, brain science, positive psychology, extending grace, and so much more. We'll share tools that can help you understand why you are the way you are, why others are the way they are, and how you can use that to step out of self-told lies with grace and compassion to draw good movement in conversations, relationships, and life in rural America. Let's go draw good movement. Welcome back to the Good Movement Draws Good Movement podcast. The other day, I was perusing Instagram. I was watching Victoria Metzger's stories. If you're not familiar with Victoria was on episode 121 of the podcast, and we were talking about new ways to get through, but that's not the point of this. The point is, I was watching her stories on Instagram, and she had shared a reel that I watched, and I found it just too dang good not to share. The reel showed a clip from the movie Inside Out 2, where anxiety has taken over the control board in Riley's head. Because of this takeover, Riley is experiencing an anxiety attack, panic attack, whatever you want to call it. Joy tries to take over using positivity and comfort, but she is unable to stop anxiety from controlling the board, controlling Riley. The caption of this reel goes into more detail as to why positivity alone cannot stop anxiety. And that's what we're going to dive into in this episode, along with what actually does help and how we can help calm anxiety in ourselves and others. But first, if you've been thinking about diving deeper than just this cast pod into your own inner work, you can schedule a free 30-minute call with me where we can connect face-to-face via Zoom and talk about what that might look like for you. Visit the link in the show notes and mention CastPod when you schedule to get 10% off one-on-one good movement guidance. Now, let's get into it. What is anxiety? And why can't we just positive our way through it? Why can't we just use positivity to shoo it away? Anxiety is an emotional state that leaves us feeling uneasy, worrisome, fearful. And it usually happens surrounding something that has not yet happened. So it's future oriented. If you are not familiar with the Inside Out movies, I love them. But if you're not familiar with them, they are about a girl named Riley, her emotions, and how they work together to inform her beliefs in her life. So the setting is inside Riley's head. There's this control board with all these buttons and dials and all the things. And in Inside Out, the first one, it's joy, sadness, disgust, fear, and anger. And each one of these takes turns running the control board when appropriate. So when it's appropriate for Riley to experience anger, anger takes control. When it's appropriate for her to be fearful, then fear takes control. When she's offered broccoli as a toddler, then disgust takes control, and so on and so forth. And the plot of the movie is Joy would love for Riley to never experience sadness. And so she tries to make that happen and doesn't let sadness come in and touch the control board. And it goes on and on and on. And finally, Joy realizes that we need to be able to feel both joy and sadness. So then Inside Out 2 comes along, and that's when a bunch of other emotions enter the scene, like ennui, which is boredom, and anxiety and envy. And nostalgia tries to bust in, but Riley's too young, so it's not time yet. Anyway, anxiety comes on the scene, like I said, in the second movie when Riley enters her teenage years. And anxiety quickly steps in and takes over headquarters. She even employs a whole room in Riley's head full of workers who their only job is imagining worst case scenarios and all the things that could go wrong. And frankly, I think it's a pretty dang good illustration slash depiction of how anxiety works within us. Kind of might snowball, we start thinking about the future. Well, what if this happens? And then what if that happens? And if this happens, then this might happen. Da, 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 da. Think it's a great illustration, especially for those of us whose lives and livelihoods are rooted in agriculture, where so much of everything is based on unknowns in the future and things like weather and nature that aren't just out of our control, but they're out of our influence. We cannot influence weather and nature. So they're out of our influence, they're out of our control. We also don't have a lot of control over the markets. We might be able to do things to influence our outcomes, but there's a lot of things out of our control and a lot of things that we do that are future oriented, that things that are happening in the future. The caption of the post, though, it goes on to explain that anxiety is not just an emotion. It's a survival response, which I would say that all of our emotions are tied to our nervous system and survival response. Like we want to stay safe, we want to stay healthy, all the things. But anxiety specifically is meant to help us keep ourselves out of harm's way. So whether that's physically or emotionally, anxiety is there to protect us or help protect us from things that may happen to us. And when anxiety enters the chat, our brains activate our natural protections. By design, our bodies prepare for danger. Think racing heart, increased respiration, maybe we're feeling more activated. And when this happens, our logical brain takes a back seat because we're preparing to survive. Okay? We're going to run away from the bear. We're going to do whatever we need to do in order to survive. We're not going to be thinking logically about a lot when anxiety is trying to help us survive. That's why saying things to someone who is anxious, like calm down, look on the bright side, it could be worse, or at least this didn't happen, does not work. It doesn't work when we say it to other people. It does not work when we say it to ourselves when we're feeling anxious. It doesn't work because logic has to be online to fully receive those things. Like when we are feeling safe and logic is on board, yeah, we can say that actually could have been worse. We can recognize that this other thing didn't happen that would have made that even more terrible. But when we're in the middle of it and anxiety is trying to protect us and our body is doing what it is designed to do to follow through and keep us safe, we cannot receive those things. When our anxiety levels are high, our logic is lacking. So we can say those things to other people. We can say those things to ourselves when we're experiencing anxiety or when other people are feeling anxious, and it's not going to make a dent. It actually might make things worse. So if saying those things and just trying to positive our way through it don't actually help soothe the anxiety, what does? The answer to that question is safety. In anxiety, our nervous systems are searching for safety. They want nothing more than to find a safe place for us. Knowing that, we can find different ways to help ourselves and other people when anxiety enters the chat. Things like a self-hug. Have you ever tried hugging yourself? I know I've talked about this on the draw. I'm not sure if I've talked about it on here on Good Movement Draws Good Movement, but wrapping your arms around yourself and squeezing, it feels good and it helps you shift from fight, flight into rest and digest. Or if you have a safe human around when you're feeling anxious, or you know you are a safe human for someone else, co-regulate with that person, whether that's a hug or just sitting in close proximity and being around each other and calming the situation, providing that safety. That's a great way to show up and show yourself or someone else that it's safe. You can also spend time in nature, touching grass, hugging trees, smelling horses, stepping in cow poop. I don't know if that's actually one that you want to do, but what it does is brings you to the present. These things, spending time in nature, feeling the wind on your face, touching the grass, hugging the trees, smelling the horses, stepping in the cow poop, brings you to the present. And since anxiety is primarily a future-oriented emotion, that grounding can help us find safety in the present moment. The other thing you can do is intentional breathing. Our breathing is the only automatic function that we can override and take control of. And when we take deep, slow, intentional breaths, it signals to the rest of the system that we are not actually in immediate danger. And when we can find that kind of safety, logic can come back online and we can use it to help us move through the situation. There are a ton of different breathing techniques that you can try. I personally got started with just a long, slow inhale through my nose, filling my lungs absolutely as full as I could get them, and then slowly exhaling through my mouth. If you'll recall, I've talked about it a few times here on the podcast, but I experienced anxiety in 2020. And at that time, I was pretty good at like intellectualizing my feelings and not necessarily feeling them. But it definitely was anxiety, and intentional breathing was like that baby step into some really deep healing. Another thing that you can do that we've talked about recently on the podcast is speak kindly to yourself. In episode 123, How Talking Kindly to Your Body Can Benefit Your Life, I talked about my experience of speaking kindly to myself, showing myself love, affirming myself on the daily, and what I've seen since I've done that. But speaking kindness and love over yourself and to your body helps activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which shifts you from fight or flight into rest and digest. When you speak kindly to yourself, it signals safety. It tells your nervous system that you are safe to be with. And that's what our bodies are looking for when we are feeling anxious or we're experiencing a lot of anxiety. We are searching for safety. So if you can speak kindly over yourself during those times, like my affirmation is, I love you. You are strong and able. You have the wisdom to keep us safe and healthy, which I'm speaking directly to my body there. It helps it feel safe. And when we feel safe, logic comes back online. We can make better decisions. To recap, anxiety is meant to help protect us from danger. Anxiety is not a glitch in the system. It's part of the design. And people experience anxiety at varying levels. This is based on their upbringing, past experiences, patterns, stress, trauma, etc. Depending on what we've experienced throughout our lifetime, that will have an influence on the level and intensity of anxiety that we experience and feel. And when there's not a lot of safety to be found, that survival mode ramps up and the anxiety is more, it's bigger, it's louder. And this can lead to serious and debilitating side effects, serious and debilitating anxiety. If that is something that you are experiencing, please reach out to your doctor or therapist. If you don't have a therapist and or your doctor is not hearing you, please shoot me a message or an email and I will help get you pointed in the direction of somebody who can help you with that and help you cultivate some of that safety, find that safety, grow that safety. If this episode resonated with you and you'd like to dive deeper into this inner work and healing, visit the link in the show notes to schedule a free 30-minute call. And don't forget, you can mention CastPod for a 10% discount on one-on-one guidance. With that, until next time, draw good movement. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful for you. If you found value in this episode, I'd love for you to share with others who might also benefit from tuning in. Share by word of mouth, send it in a text, take a screenshot and post it on social media, or share however you prefer. And if you haven't already, hit the follow or subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, draw good movement.